Hello, my name is Christian, and with the help of my friend Andres, we will explain you all we know about complex numbers. So let's start. The first thing is this formula that represents how is conform a complex number. It says us that it have a real that will be represented as A and an imaginary part represented by B, and with an special sign that is the letter I. So also this kind of complex number will help you to make operation like this one, like the square root of a negative number. For example, it will be something like this to solve this type of equations. But in this case, this number can be realized, so we replace it by I. So if we made this operation, it will let us something like square root of 81 is equal to 9 and I. So we could say that the sign I is equal to the square root of minus 1, and I square will be equal to minus 1. Then we're going to show you sum and multiplication of complex numbers. So first, as you can see, here is one complex number and here is our second complex number, and they will sum each other. So the first thing, our formula says that the two real parts of our two complex numbers will be summed, and then the two imaginary parts will be summed separately and multiplied by the sign I. So in this example, for example, these numbers will be solved like something like this: 2 plus 5 plus 3 plus 4 times I. So it will be equal to 7 plus 7I. Also, another important thing we will show you is the multiplication of the complex numbers. In this case, here is our formula, also two complex numbers formed by a real part and an imaginary part in both cases. And then our formula says us that the result will be A times C, that is our two imaginary parts multiplied, and then minus the two imaginary parts multiplied, so AC, our real parts, minus B plus D, B times D, our imaginary parts, plus AD, that will be the real part of our first complex numbers, times the imaginary part of our second complex number, and then the same but with the imaginary part and the real part of both cases. So for example, in this case, 2 plus 3i times 5 plus 4i, it will be something like 5 times 2, 12, minus 12 plus 8 plus 15i, and it will let us something like, the result will be minus 2 plus 23i. Another important thing for our complex numbers will be their properties. In fact, it has three main properties. That is the cumulative, the associative, and the neutral. First, we are going to start with the cumulative that says us this is their formula. And in fact, the formula says us that it doesn't matter the order of how you sum the complex numbers, they will be the same. For example, in this case, this complex numbers is the second, but in this case is the first one. And in this case, this is the first one and this is the second. It says us that they are equal, that they will then change their result. And for example, the associative is also similar. For example, but this we could say that is making with more numbers. And this is for these both numbers are summing, and then they're at this other complex number, and they say us that is equal as if we first sum the last two complex numbers and finally we added. It says us that it's the same as add first two complex numbers and then add the last complex number, as the same as first add the last two complex numbers and then add the first complex number. And the last one says us that if you sum if one of your complex number is 0, it will stay the same your complex number. So now Andres is going to explain you the next concepts.
Hello, my name is Andres and I will explain you the divided by c plus di. But to understand it better, we're going to use real numbers. So 3 plus 4i divided by 2 plus 5i, which will be equal to 6 minus 15i plus 8i minus 20i to the square, divided by 4 minus 10i plus 10i minus 25i to the square. So this will give us as a result 26 minus 7i divided by 29. So as we can see, the division of complex numbers is really easy, and now I'm going to explain you the polar form of complex numbers. For this we will use basic trigonometric relationships like cosine of the angle is equal to a divided by r, and the sine of the angle will be equal to b divided by r. Then we multiply each side by r, so is r cosine of the angle equal to a, and r multiplied by the sine of the angle equal to b.